What's poppin', guys? Back again with another video. It's your boy Multiple Voice Guy. Guys, I know it took forever. I'm sorry that I didn't post a lot, and know it's late, but Happy New Year, and I hope you guys had a good Friday the 13th. I know I definitely had a good Friday the 13th, but yeah, and I know it's late, and I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. But guys, I'm back, and guys, I'm finally giving you Season 2 of Fight Wars Unlimited. Now I figured, you know what, to kick off Fight Wars Unlimited, how about we do something different and unique? Because basically, and also, first of all, if things look a lot different now, basically something happened to my phone, something dumb, so I won't be able to record on my phone anymore, but I can now record on my tablet, and I'll still be able to upload videos on my Multiple Voice Guy account. So don't worry, guys, my YouTube channel is here to stay. But other than that, how about we get it started? Today's battle is actually going to be, we've done solo battles, but now, to kick it off, we're going to be with group battles. Now, of course, group battles. Now, this is the only group battle I can think of so far. If I can't think of any more, but whenever I do think of another group battle, I'll do it. But other than that, yeah, I feel like today, this battle would be the perfect, group battle to basically kick it off for Fight Wars Unlimited. So basically, today's battle, I'm going to be pinning IMP, Blitz, Moxie, and Millie from Helluva Boss versus the top 3 horror icons, Michael Myers from Halloween, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, and Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, which one of these trio groups are going to win? Let's find out. Now, and of course, the fact that these 3 horror icons have been on the show before. Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees had to duke it out in Season 1. And Freddy Krueger had to fight Pennywise in Season 1. But now, today, they're going to settle their differences to go against these three little demons. These 3 little Hellborns. So, without further ado, basically, how it normally goes, we go over their origins, their weapons, and, of course, their abilities. And who I think... who I would think would win in an outright fight. So first up, we have the main guy himself, Blitz. Now, we really don't know much about Blitz's origin, but this is basically the best that we've gathered so far. He is childhood friends with Frizzaroli, and of course was even played in the same circus as him. And yeah. And also his dad was a piece of shit. But basically, that's pretty much it. We basically got, other than that, we really don't know that much about Blitz. But, of course, the fact that he used to be childhood friends with Frizzaroli and something happened between them, what? We don't know. But, yeah, but what happened between them, we don't know. But basically, other than that, that's pretty much Blitz. And also, he is the founder of IMP, which is a murder group that basically kills anybody who screwed you over when you were alive. So basically, that's pretty much Blitz. And now we have Moxie. Now, Moxie is another person we really do not know that much of his origin. Basically, what we've gathered is that we do know he's from the Wrath Ring, and that he, for some reason, signed up for IMP. And he is married to Millie. And it's confirmed that they've been married for 1 year in the show. But basically, that's pretty much it. But the fact that Moxie, he could shoot well, he kills good, but unfortunately, one of his weaknesses is him being a simp. Basically, he can feel compassion for people and also sympathy. And of course, this is one of Moxie's big weaknesses, is that he's such a caring person. Yeah, he's a caring person, but he is a trained killer. That doesn't make any sense, but whatever. And of course, then there's And of course, this was even shown in the first official episode where they were hired to kill this one woman. But of course, Moxie didn't allow them to because they just looked like a happy family, and he just couldn't and he just couldn't stand to see a family get hurt. And I'm gonna fix something real quick, guys, because this is really starting to irritate me. Okay, yeah, that doesn't work. Never mind. Okay. Basically, okay, never mind. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so that's basically one of Moxie's weaknesses, that he's a caring person. And of course, the fact that Blitz missed the shot, and of course, he put his boss and wife in harm's way just because he thought that they were a happy family. He didn't want to do that. But of course, Blitz did him. But of course, Moxie did realize how evil they were, and then basically did get them to get killed. But even though his intentions were just to have them go to jail, but whatever. That's pretty much Moxie. Now, his wife, Millie, on the other hand, she's the polar opposite. Basically, she does love Moxie, and basically, she's also from the Wrath Ring, but also she is really stronger. She is less sympathetic towards her targets, and she is basically, and of course, she's really skilled and agile. And of course, she's really good at fighting, and that's pretty much, and yeah, that's pretty much Millie. That's pretty much the IMP crew. And now, we are going on to the horror.
No Wi-Fi game.
Good Lord. I knew this was going to happen. I don't care. Shut up. I'm so sorry, guys. I should have took care of this before I started recording. God. Okay. Basically, now where was I? Oh, yeah. So, basically, next is the horror icons. First, going up with their origins. And I figured, you know what? First, I feel like it would be appropriate to start with Michael Myers. Because, I mean, he is the man that started slashers. So, we'll go with Michael Myers. When Michael Myers was 6 years old, he murdered his older sister, Judith, on Halloween night. And then... and then he was sent to Smith Joe Sanitarium. And then 15 years later, he broke out. And now Michael Myers basically goes to the town of Haddonfield to basically try and kill Laurie Strode. Because revealed in Halloween 2, because this is the timeline I'm going with, it was revealed that Laurie Strode was Michael Myers' sister. She was born 2 years after he was committed. Well, 2 years before he was committed, 2 years after his parents died, and she was adopted by the Strodes. And of course, why Michael keeps going after her, because his mission killed the bloodline. And if you get in your way, yeah, you're pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much Michael Myers. And now we'll move on to the second masked killer, and his day wasn't too long ago, and that is Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. Now, Jason Voorhees was a kid. He was a good kid, but basically, unfortunately, he suffered from facial deformity. And at a very young age, he grew a very strong bond with his mother. He never went to school. He never had any friends. The only person in his life was his mother. But until one day, Pamela couldn't afford a babysitter for Jason when he was 11, so she decided to take him with her to Camp Crystal Lake, where she worked as a cook. And of course, Jason was bullied by the other kids due to his looks, and thanks to his disabilities. And of course, they chased him at the end of the dock, and as a joke, they pushed him into the water. But basically, the thing is, Jason couldn't swim. Jason basically could not swim. And of course, he basically drowned. And of course, the camp counselors who were supposed to be watching were set out in the woods having sex. And so Jason drowned and the camp was closed. And then reopened the next year. And then Pamela Voorhees, mad with grief, decided to kill all the camp counselors. And she almost did a good job, but she ended up getting her head chopped off by one of them. And you would think the story would end there, right? No. Basically, it turns out Jason survived his drowning and apparently saw his mom get decapitated. And that Jason went into the woods to plan his revenge. And of course, after that, Jason would go on to continue his mom's work. And of course, he would end up getting killed in part 4 and resurrected in part 6 as a undead rampage revenge revenant zombie. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but basically at this point, Jason just can't be killed now. And of course, my theory, as long as his mom's spirit lives, he cannot die. Yeah. Kill for mother. But yeah, that's basically Jason Voorhees. And now the last killer out of this trio group is the main man himself, Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. Basically, Freddy Krueger... Now, basically, Amanda Krueger was just your average nun, and she basically, one day, she visited a psychiatric ward. And until one day, she ended up accidentally going into a room with 100 inmates. And of course, they accidentally locked the door on her. And basically, unfortunately, all 100 of the inmates... Now, if this word offends you, I apologize, but basically, this isn't necessarily a bad word, but what it represents is pretty bad. But basically, where all 100 of the inmates decided to rape her. And when they found her, she was barely alive and with a child. And that child was Freddy, aka the son of 100 maniacs. AKA the son of 100 maniacs. And of course, due to this, Freddy was bullied in school, but he didn't really care. And he did have an abusive stepfather, but he did end up killing him. And then Freddy grew up to be the Springwood Slasher. He was a child murderer who killed about 20 kids in the neighborhood of Springwood. And until one day, he was arrested, but a faulty arrest warrant said he was let go on a technicality. And then a faulty arrest warrant said he was let go on a technicality. Yeah. Then, of course, that. And, of course, he was set free. And, of course, the parents decided to take justice into their own hands. And they decided to burn Freddy alive in his boiler room. And, of course, where Freddy died. And, of course, he went to hell. And then when he went to hell, he made a deal with the dream demons. And they gave him the ability to invade people's dreams. And, of course, he can also invade the dreams of the teenagers on Elm Street. And so, yeah, that's pretty much, oh god, I keep wanting to say Jason. That's basically Freddy Krueger. And now, next up, we'll go into weapons. First up, starting it off with the IMP crew. Now with Blitz, his main weapons is guns. Like, there's rarely a time you see Blitz without a gun. Yes, there are times where he did use melee weapons, like an axe or a knife, but basically, his main weapon is always guns. Like, it doesn't matter what kind. Like, he has old pirate guns, machine guns. Basically, you give Blitz a gun, and he would be able to do some work. So, that's pretty much Blitz. And now, as for Moxie, his main thing is also guns. Like, he did try to use a knife one time, but that didn't really work. So, basically, his main thing is firearms. He basically shoots and he kills good. So basically that's pretty much Moxie. And of course Millie, her main weapon is oh wait, no, never mind. Now there has been a few times where she did use guns. Like she is really good with guns, but the main weapon I mainly see her use is melee weapons. Like axes and daggers. And she is really good with melee weapons. But of course there has been a few times where Millie has used guns. Like in the Lululand episode. Or in episode 4, where they're fighting the cherubs, and Millie and Moxie are just making out while they're just gunning down people. Which I think was absolutely hilarious. But, so yeah. And now we'll move on to the horror icons. Now, Michael Myers, his main weapon of choice, like there has been a few times where he had to improvise, and we even saw him use an axe a few times, but his main weapon of choice has always been the butcher's knife. Like, there's rarely a time you'll ever see Michael Myers without a butcher's knife. Because basically how Michael gets the butcher's knives is basically he goes into a house, kills the owner, and then goes into the kitchen and opens the drawer and just takes a knife. And that's basically how Michael gets his butcher's knives. And now, as for Jason Voorhees, his main weapon of choice, now in the earlier Friday films, it wasn't his trademark weapon, but nowadays, his main weapon is the machete. Like, yes, Jason's used other things like pitchforks and axes, but his main weapon of choice has always been the machete. Like, Jason, he slices and dices people with his machete. And of course, lastly, we have Freddy Krueger. Now, I actually have to give Freddy Krueger points on this weapon because it's actually creative. Basically, Freddy's main weapon of choice is the razor glove. And where with this razor glove, it's basically a glove with 4 knives attached to the fingers. And basically, like Jason, he basically uses this to slice and dice his victims. And of course, yeah, you see him wearing it. But so yeah, it's basically Freddy. Now, and now we'll go on to abilities. The IMP crew really do not have any abilities. Like, the IMP crew really do not have any abilities, honestly. They're just Hellborns, and they don't have any special powers besides them just being Hellborns. And now, as for the horror icons, Michael Myers just cannot die. Like, basically, with Michael Myers, basically, he basically does have an evil soul in him. He's basically pure evil. And with that, he just cannot die. Like, he could take multiple amounts of damage, and he would be fine. I mean, after all, he was just pure evil. And, of course, what Dr. Loomis said in the first original Halloween movie, this should pretty much sum it up. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and another tried to keep him locked up because I realized what was hiding behind that young boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Yeah, so that's basically Michael Myers. Now, my own definitive way to kill him is that you either put him in a shredder, or you basically chop off his head. But I don't think they would be able to do that. So basically, that's Michael Myers. And now, as for Jason Voorhees, basically what I said is that in my personal theory, as long as his mother's spirit lives, he cannot die. So that is why Jason just wouldn't die. Like, because in my personal opinion, it's his mother's spirit that keeps him alive. Or it could be the fact that he is undead, but also mixed in with the fact that his mom's spirit keeps him going. So that's pretty much Jason Voorhees. And Freddy Krueger, well, Freddy Krueger does have a weakness, and that is if you pull him into the real world. Basically, main with Freddy is that the main thing he's known for, and of course title of the movie, he invades your dreams. Like if you're in Freddy's world, he has complete control. He can change the setting if he wants. He can bring out your deepest, darkest fears, and he can also slice you up with his razor glove. But basically, the main thing with Freddy is that now if you bring him into the real world, it takes away his dream abilities, and that's basically where you can kill him. But other than that, yeah, it's Freddy. Now, which one of these groups would actually win in an actual physical fight? Now, basically, these are the people that I basically assigned. I think Blitz would take on Jason Voorhees, Millie would take on Michael Myers, and Moxie would take on Freddy Krueger. So basically how this battle would go. First up, I guess we can go over with Blitz versus Jason. Let's say the fight starts like this. Blitz is running through the forest of Camp Crystal Lake, and of course, he basically he sees his target. And of course, the minute he takes the target, basically somebody comes out and kills the target. And this is Jason Voorhees. And Blitz is like, what the f***? And then, of course, Blitz comes out. Hey, hockey puck. Yeah, I'm talking to you, you big slug. That was my kill. Oh, you want to be smart? Well, then I guess I'll kill you. And then, of course, the fight begins. Blitz basically fires his guns into Jason Voorhees, and of course, Jason Voorhees falls down. But, of course, Jason immediately gets back up because guns really don't do anything. And Blitz is like, the f***? And, of course, Jason just starts swinging at Blitz with his machete, but, of course, Blitz is dodging and, of course, firing some more. And, of course, flashing over to Millie and Moxie. Basically, Millie and Moxie are discovering the Myers house. And until, basically, they are met with Michael Myers. And of course, Michael Myers is about to stab Moxie, but of course, Millie, Moxie, look out! And of course, Moxie looks, and of course, the minute Michael slams down with his knife, knife, Moxie accidentally falls down the stairs and basically knocks himself out. And of course, when Michael looks, that's when Millie starts charging at him with a dagger. And of course, she stabs Michael a few times, but of course, this is Michael Myers and it does absolutely nothing. And of course, Michael basically just picks up Millie and just throws her to the side. And then, of course, tries to stab her some more. And of course, we go over to Moxie, and of course, where Moxie wakes up. Where am I? 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. Who is that? Who's singing? Show yourself, if you wish. And then that's when Freddy comes out of the dark. And of course, Moxie says his signature phrase. Oh, crumbs. Oh, Moxie. This is God. And of course, Moxie just immediately starts firing at Freddy. But of course, Freddy just falls down. But of course, Freddy just immediately pops back up. And of course, starts slicing at Moxie. Over to the Blitz and Jason fight. Jason is able to get a slice on Moxie's arm. You daddy! And of course, he starts firing some more bullets into Jason. But of course, this is Jason, and of course, it does absolutely nothing. So Blitz just throws his guns away because he realizes that's not doing anything. And of course, Blitz notices a nearby axe nearby. So he picks that up, and as Jason slices a machete, Blitz uses the axe to dodge the blade, and of course kicks Jason off, and immediately whacks the axe right in Jason's chest. But of course, Jason just basically slabs Blitz off, and of course immediately just takes the axe out and just tosses it to the side. And of course I feel like, Blitz, what are you, an undead zombie or something? But of course Jason just immediately walks back and just grabs Blitz by the throat and impales him with his machete. And of course he just keeps on doing it, and until where Blitz tries to pick back up his gun to basically shoot Jason in the head, Jason just takes Blitz's wrist, twists it, forcing him to drop the gun. And of course he takes out the machete and then just impaled it right through Blitz's skull, killing him. And so the winner for this round is Jason Voorhees. And now back to Millie versus Michael Myers. Michael keeps trying to stab Millie, but of course, thanks to how fast and agile she is, he won't be able to touch her. And then, of course, that's when she brings out her axe. And she immediately throws the axe to try and get a decapitation, but Michael just grabs a hold of the axe and just throws it back at Millie. But of course, Millie's really fast and she dodges. And of course, she comes out with, we'll say an SMG, and comes out and just starts firing at Michael. But of course, we all know guns really don't affect Michael, so Michael just gets back up like nobody's business. Alright. Oh, okay, what the do you eat for breakfast, mister? And of course, Michael just immediately rushes back up and then goes in for a stab and basically stabs Millie right in the shoulder. And of course, Michael just grabs Millie by the throat, and of course just pins her up against the wall. And of course, she tries to reach for her weapon, and of course Michael realizes it, picks up her own dagger, and then just impales it right in her stomach. And then of course, eventually, she just picks back up her axe and just impales it right into her chest. And then he takes that out, and before he could even land a stab with his knife, her body just goes limp. Basically, and Michael just kills her. And Michael just tosses her body to the side. And then decides to just go back in the house to finish Moxie. And meanwhile, in the dream world, Moxie just keeps firing his gun, but Freddy's using dream moves like teleportation and basically trying to bake his knives into the ground. You know what, Mox? How about we make this setting more familiar? And of course, he basically does his dream magic. And of course, where Moxie is now in the IMP building. No, I know this isn't real. Is it? Moxie! Millie! And of course, he hugs what he thinks is Millie, but then he's immediately stabbed in the gut with a finger knife. You dumb. And of course, he just morphs back into Freddy. And of course, he keeps stabbing her, and he keeps stabbing him over and over again. And of course, as Michael goes down to finish Moxie, he realizes that's what's happening to Moxie in the real world. And of course, Michael doing the signature head tilt. Until Moxie's finally able to pull Freddy into the real world. And of course, I feel like before Moxie can even get a gun shot in, Freddy just slices his hand off and then just impales him in the eyes with his finger knives. Never stood a chance, little one. And of course, that's when he notices Michael. Oh, hey, Michael. Let me guess, did a red thing try to kill you too? I'll take that. You know what? I'll call Jason. Maybe he wants to hang out. And then, of course, KO. And basically, being the winner here is the horror icons. Now, before I get into the reason why the horror icons won, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please help me reach 50 subscribers. Now, basically, the reason why the horror icons won. Basically, short term, the horror icons were just too much for the IMP crew. Basically, because yes, they are Hellborns, but these guys just simply can't die. And of course, reasoning why Blitz lost against Jason Voorhees is because yes, Blitz is really fast, and I did think Blitz would put up a good fight, but in the end, there's just no way he would be able to defeat somebody like Jason Voorhees. And then as for Millie, pretty much the same thing. Millie would put up a good fight, but there's just no way she would be able to take out Michael Myers. And as for Moxie, oh my gosh, Moxie was so obvious from the beginning. Like, Moxie's just too squishy, you know? And Moxie being Moxie, and now yes, it is true Moxie is used to hallucinations because of that one episode. But of course, it's Moxie being a simp that guides him. And of course him just loving Millie, that's why he fell for the whole Millie trick, even though it was actually Freddy in disguise. And of course, even when he did bring Freddy into the real world, and even if Moxie brought Freddy into the real world, he still wouldn't be a challenge for him. And that's why the IMP crew got themselves killed. So that's why our winner is the horror icons. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm sorry this was late, but I still hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please help me reach 50 subscribers, and be sure to tune in for the next episode, which next episode I'm going to be pinning two of the most creepiest killers in all of fiction, and basically where the next battle I'm going to be pinning William Afton, aka the purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's, against the creepypasta who tells you to go to sleep, Jeff the Killer. I can't wait for that fight. But until then, I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.